What's poppin', guys? Just got back from the wedding, honeymoon, traveling, freaking moving to Austin, Texas from Boise, Idaho. Literally picked up everything. So get this, we went to our honeymoon, we got back home, immediately packed all of our stuff up. Like, we hired movers, they packed up our whole house. We flew back from Greece. I land at like midnight back in Idaho, wake up at 6 a.m., hop in the car that we luckily already had loaded, and start driving 24 hours. Mind you, this is a whole month of being away to get married. Literally best month of my life. It was phenomenal. So much has happened. And then we got to Austin. We unloaded everything for a week. Went back to Boise for some work stuff for the wife. Came back and then went back after a week. A lot of stuff has transpired. Now we're back home and we're ready to get back into action. Got the studio already almost finished up. Looks phenomenal. Now, I've got an insane video for you guys. I'm switching it up a little bit, not your typical scale your video agency stuff, but honestly, probably one of my favorite videos that I'm gonna make in a long time. So stick with me. You're about to hear from a man who went from an elite military operator to $1 million in debt while trying to start a business, then faces stage 4 cancer, then ends up a cancer-free multimillionaire, all while building one of the most popular tourist attractions in the heart of Las Vegas. Now, you've probably never heard the name Travis Krauss before, but you're not gonna forget it after this video. And yes, spoiler alert, it's my dad. And for those of you guys that know me, you know that he's my biggest mentor and confidant and my best friend. And it's such an honor and a privilege to share with you guys a presentation that he gave alongside Jesse Itzler, by the way. He was the pre-speaker to him, so this will knock your socks off. And so again, he's my best friend, biggest mentor, biggest confidant. Hell, he was my best man at my wedding last month. Everything I've achieved, every principle that I teach you guys, every ounce of mental toughness that got me to 50K a month with my agency, it all stems from him. He's one of the most mentally resilient human beings alive. Army Ranger, went to Delta Force, one of just 9 men out of 350 applicants, mind you, to make it through that pipeline. Then he became a millionaire defense contractor, founded Apocalypse Vegas, again, one of the biggest tourist attractions in the heart of the city, which became the #3 tourist attraction in the whole city, competing with billion-dollar casinos using just a fraction of their budget. But all that's not why you need to watch this. You need to watch this because this man has been through absolute hell and came out of the other side stronger. Anything that you think you're going through that feels like the end of the world, I guarantee you came nowhere near to the level of hell that this guy went through. And it's not to minimize what you've gone through. It's not to minimize your experience. It's to give you motivation, and it's to inspire you and rip into your soul so that way you can gain the mental toughness to be able to overcome whatever the hell it is you're going through. He gave this presentation to a room full of door-to-door sales guys about to get their asses handed to them on the doors. But every single principle you're about to learn here and you're about to listen to doesn't just apply to life. It's building a business, chasing your dream, your relationships with your wife, your husband, or just facing impossible odds. Fair warning, he swears a decent amount. He doesn't sugarcoat anything, okay? And he will force you to look in the mirror and confront who you are. So turn off your notifications, grab a notebook and a pen, grab a snack, hydrate, and prepare to meet the man who taught me more about resilience, mindset, and never backing down than anyone else I've ever met in my entire life. This is gonna change everything.
Burn this house down, let's go! Get up for my man Travis! So there's a story about a mentor and a protege. And this mentor takes his protege in, lets him come live with him. He's kind of struggling a little bit through life. The mentor's older, has been through some stuff, he's been developed, and takes his protege in and says, hey, I'm going to hook you up with a place to live for really cheap. I've got a job on one of my companies. I'm going to give you a job. And, learn what you can. And let's get it going. A little time goes by, and the protege is not really kind of taking the initiative to get going. The mentor's getting a little frustrated, the protege. And is there like one place I'm supposed to stand? Because it's going to drive me up a wall if I have to hear that feedback all night. But the mentor's getting a little frustrated. He's like, hey, protege, I'm giving you an opportunity here. You guys know what happens when a baby bird's trying to hatch? If you help it hatch, it's like, oh, it's really struggling. Let me help the baby bird open the shell and welcome it to life. Do you know what happens to it? Does anybody know? Kills it, right? At least that's the old saying. You kill the bird because you take away the initial strength that it needs to survive those first few days. It's gaining that strength. Well, a good protege, see, if it was a friend or a family member, they'd be like, oh, it's okay, you'll figure your shit out. Just keep working hard in the job I gave you, and, maybe you can just help out around the house a little bit more because I'm giving you a place to live here. See, friends and family love you just the way you are, but a mentor loves you too much to leave you the way that you are. So the mentor is talking with the protege, and he's like, you need to get your shit together. Protege is like, yeah, and kind of dropping some excuses a little bit more with his actions and his words. Here's one for you. This is free, by the way. Because your actions speak so loudly, I can't hear a word you're saying. So don't fill me full of a bunch of hot air, because I'm just going to watch anyways. And when the protege wasn't producing, the mentor realized he was breaking the shell of the baby bird here, metaphorically speaking. He said, hey, get out. Go find another job, get out of the house, go figure your shit out. A little time goes by. The protege got out, started to spread the wings a little bit, started getting the shit beat out of him a little bit in life. And see, up to that point, for about 1.5 years to 2 years, the mentor had been giving the protege some opportunities. And the protege had been learning some stuff, didn't really realize it at the time, but he was engaged. But the problem, though, was the baby bird and the eggshell scenario, right? So the mentor's like, I've done all I can do for you. I have taught you how to fight. You don't realize it. Now you need to get out there and get beat up a little bit and learn to fight. Time goes by. Protege comes back, dusts himself off a little bit, and he's like, I think I'm figuring this stuff out a little bit. I think I'm getting ready to go off on my own, spread my wings, and start flying. Mentor's like, get it done. So the protege is getting all excited. It's a true story, by the way. Protege is getting all excited, and man, he's got this idea for business, for sales, and he starts to take the initiative and get out of his comfort zone, and he reaches out to a couple of people, and it starts, stuff's falling by the wayside, but he's got these two, and he's like, man, I got him. I've got both these lined up. I've been talking to him. I'm going to close the freaking deal. And the protege hasn't had a job really for a little while now. And he's been living paycheck to paycheck for a little bit, kind of letting his money, last. But it's coming down to the wire now. He doesn't have a job because he had some money. He's been a good steward of his money, the money he saved up from some other jobs. And now he was getting ready to go out and do his sales, right? In this case, with his own business concept he wanted to start up. And he's getting out there. He's like, this is it. It's coming down to it. I got one on Tuesday and one on Thursday. They both fall through. Saturday rolls around. The protege takes a screenshot of his bank account, which is $50 overdrawn, and he sends it to the mentor. And the mentor sits there realizing he could go make a couple bucks, he could pick up a job, he could do any of this stuff here if he had to pay the bills. But that wasn't what he was concerned with. The mentor sat there in that moment and had more fear for that protege than he had ever had, because he was at the decisive point. And he had learned all this stuff. See, how many of you know the Karate Kid analogy? Raise your hand if you've seen the Karate Kid. Raise your hand if you don't even know what the Karate Kid is. Okay, good, because I was going to make you leave. All right, so the Karate Kid, young Danielson, right? He's out there painting up and painting down and waxing off and waxing on and sanding the deck and all this stuff, right? And the whole agreement was Mr. Miyagi was going to teach him how to fight. And he's got him out there doing chores from sun up to sundown every day. I don't remember what it was, a week, 2 weeks, 7 years. I don't remember what it was. Finally, Danielson freaking throws a temper tantrum. He's like, you told me you were going to teach me how to fight, Mr. Miyagi. I've been out here being your slave. And Mr. Miyagi's like, young Danielson, when I do this, you paint the fence, right? So he does all this stuff. And next you know, he starts throwing kicks and starts throwing punches and jabs, and Danielson's waxing off and sanding and painting and doing shit even though he'd been learning along the way. He'd been learning to fight the whole time, but now he had to start having some punches thrown out his face, right? Is this making sense so far? You with me? I'm bouncing back and forth between the story and the metaphors that tie into it along the way. So, back to the real story, protege and mentor. Mentor's looking at the screenshot of the bank account that's $50 overdrawn, and he realizes this is the decisive point in his young life that's going to determine the rest of his life, because he's either going to fucking quit and take the low-hanging fruit somewhere else and give up on his dreams, or he's going to suck it up and drive forward and figure it out. Because there's no playbook for real life. There's no playbook when you're standing there and it's you and some dude or some chick that you've never seen before, and they're looking at you like you're an asshole, and you're trying to close the deal, and you're trying to be funny, and what did Adam say I'm supposed to do here? Step in and show him this, and everything's falling apart, and your heart starts beating, and you're starting to piss your pants a little bit, and you're like, right? That's the decisive point. So that protege sucked it up and said, let me clear off my desk and start over again. 2 years later, and mind you, at that point in time too, he was pretty freaking lonely. He'd moved to a new town. He couldn't meet anybody. He didn't know anybody. He was just out there by himself, kicking over stones, trying to figure shit out. 2 years later, he's got an amazing circle of sharp friends. He's got his own business. He's got people that he employs and he's providing opportunity to. And I will tell you that that young protege, who's my son, makes more money than the highest paid executive in my biggest company. Keep that in mind. So you know my name by now. There's a little bit of a different side of the story than what Adam told you. So when I first got the call, it was like this. Hey, Travis, we'd really like for you to come talk to the clan, come down and speak to the group, speak to the tribe, speak to the pride, right? How much would you charge us? And here's what I said. I was like, I don't think you guys could afford me. Well, and I found out what they're paying Jesse tomorrow night, and obviously I made a huge mistake. So anyway, here's the deal. I'm here to talk to you all tonight about not sales. I'm not going to talk to you about strategy. I'm not going to talk to you about game plans. I'm going to talk to you about perseverance and personal development. And you're going to understand by the time I'm done, at least a little bit, why that's important. But here's the ground rules. Even though Adam did offer to pay me, I said no for two reasons. One, principle, because I'm here to pay it forward with the blessings that have been bestowed onto me, as well as the responsibilities and the duties, but also because that means that I can't get fired, right? So here's the rules. I'm doing this for free, and my time is valuable. I make a lot of money. Until Jesse shows up tomorrow night, then all of a sudden I don't make so much money, right? But I make a lot of money. And I took time away from my wife and my businesses and my sanity, which there's not much left, to come down here with you all. So here's the ground rules. If I see you on your phone, I'm going to ask you to leave. If I see you singing your hip hop or whatever, because you got earpods in, I'm going to ask you to leave. Don't do that. I'm not here for me. I'm here for you. And you're not doing me any favors. Here's the other part. How many of you guys know who Tony Robbins is? Right? Yeah, like, guy's pretty cool. Raise your hand if you've seen I'm Not Your Guru. Okay, it's a very good documentary they put on Netflix. You need to see it. I'm Not Your Guru. But here's the deal. I wanted to watch it. I ended up taking pages of notes. I've seen it 3 times now. It's great. He's dropping F-bombs in that thing. I'm like, whoa. Tony Robbins, like the #1 public speaker in the world, Mr. Professional and Personal Growth and Development dude, he's dropping F-bombs. And he said later on in the documentary, he says, yeah, I drop F-bombs. That's how you make an impact sometimes. And I'm like, all right, cool. So that's basically my justification for not coming up with anything smarter to say in the moment. I'm going to drop F-bombs. But the safe part for me is I can't be fired. All right? So it's a little late. All right, yeah, thank you. It's a little late. And this is the unrated, unedited version that you all are going to get. Do I have your permission? Okay, if anybody gets your fucking feelings hurt, guess what? Nobody cares. Because here's the deal. Tell me what the IRS and success have in common. Who can tell me? What do the IRS and success have in common?
Well, the IRS will tell you, oh, well, these are your return and taxes, but this is what you're going to get. But versus on success, well, you persevere more because you're not letting the government take control over your life.
Okay, so another thing you all should know, I have very bad hearing damage. I didn't hear a word you said, but you talked so long that I'm sure your answer is wrong. But thank you for being interactive, okay? All right? It's really simple. What do success and the IRS have in common? This is it. Neither one of them give a shit about your feelings or your excuses. So here's what's going to happen. You guys are going to hit the streets. I hope you're nervous. If you're not, might want to work on that arrogance level just a little bit, okay? I hope you're nervous because that's where you grow. All right, here we go. The other thing, my eyesight's been going lately too. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you some stories of perseverance. Some of this stuff isn't going to make much sense to many of you, and it's really even not going to impact you much because you're too young. I'm just going to say that point blank. You just haven't gone through the ringer of life yet enough. Take notes. And for those of you guys that showed up without a notepad, you're a fucking knucklehead, right? You got a bunch of successful guys here that dumped a lot of money into a weekend to help you, and you showed up here for entertainment, I guess. I promise you'll at least be entertained by me. For those of you that have a notepad or you're taking notes on your phone, I'll trust you're taking notes on your phone and you're not texting somebody, right? Okay? Then cool, do that. All right? Because some of the stuff I'm going to say tonight isn't going to resonate with you, but I promise you some of it will in 5 to 10 to 20 years. Or when you start going through some shit in life, you're going to be like, man, okay, I remember that dude, that short dude that said something about this at one time. I don't care if you remember my name. I just want you to remember the lessons, all right? Okay, so let's get going on some of this. All right. Yeah. I talked about protege and mentor. What I want to ensure that you all do not make the mistake of doing, and because you've got a lack of experience at this point, that's not dinging on you, it's just the reality, right? I lack a lot of experience still, and I've been through a lot in life, and I'm 1 or 2 days older than most of you. Here's the deal. You cannot put a price on the value of a true mentor. Here's the challenge with a mentor, okay? If they don't have anything personally to gain from you, in this case they do, so you're lucky. It behooves them just in principle to give you their attention, but earn it. Because if all of you went over there to receive mentorship, look, there's an 80-20 rule. Look that up. I'm not going to take time to go into it tonight. The reality is it's more like a 90-10 rule, right? 80-20 rule of mentoring, management, and all that stuff, right? But here's the thing. Here's my point. They can teach you so much more than just how to do sales, because they didn't get to where they're at in life without getting banged up and beat on a bunch. And for you to be successful, you are going to have to learn and become so much more than just somebody who understands how to throw a script down with a little bit of charisma, okay? That's why I was willing to come down here. So when I found out it was about door-to-door stuff, I'm like, okay, this is cool, because they're about to go through the meat grinder. And I hope you're nervous for that, because if you're in your comfort zone, you aren't growing. Plain and simple. But do not ever disrespect their time. Value their time. And I'll drop you a hint. A mentor watches a protege. And when a protege comes to a mentor and asks for guidance, for coaching, not how to do something, but help me understand, thought process, not necessarily strategy, deeper than that. Why? The why behind something. They will watch you. And if you do this with their information and walk off because you don't agree with it, you're to the back of the line. The time that a protege gets with a mentor is earned and reciprocated by the value and the respect that a good protege presents to a mentor. Raise your hand if that makes sense to you all. Okay, all right, cool. Looks like I got more attention than what I thought I was going to get. Truth be told, I was walking around here seeing some of you guys on your phones and not taking notes, and I'm like, okay, we'll see. Look, if at least 2 of you get something from tonight, then awesome. Pay it forward. Okay, I'm not here to motivate or inspire anybody. That's not me. I'm here to dig into your fucking souls. I'm here to put a mirror in front of your face so that when you go home, you question some shit about yourself. And if you don't like me, that's not my issue, that's yours. Because the reason I have to ask you, why don't you like me? Well, you're kind of intense and your language. Then you're more worried about the way it makes you feel than you are about the principle of what's being said. Lesson number 1 in emotional maturity. Do you need me to say that again? Don't be more concerned with the way something makes you feel than hearing what is said in principle. Our society is plagued right now with a whole bunch of, oh, my feelings are hurt. Oh, I'm entitled. Oh, give me my benefits. I don't know. We can go on and on about that stuff, right? Don't be part of that. It has never been easier to be successful. Never. There has never been less of a traffic jam in the extra mile. There is no traffic jam in the extra mile. There is no fucking competition out there right now. Because our society is absolutely plagued with mediocrity, with whiners, with people that are victims and entitled and lazy. This is yours for the taking. Okay, I'm going to give you my story. It's kind of weird, right? I don't like talking about myself, but hey, again, my walk of life has been, it's my responsibility to pay it forward and share some of those lessons. So, here we go. All right, got out of high school, joined the Rangers, went into the Rangers for a while. Then from there, I decided, hey, I'm going to go into Delta Force. It's this weird thing. Does anybody in here not know what Delta Force is? Oh, is anybody in here, you don't? Okay. Is anybody in here not seen the movie Black Hawk Down? Okay, so there's a few of you. So in summary, Delta Force is premier nationwide, some even say in the world, whatever, but it's a joint counter-terrorist hostage rescue unit that all the military branches try out for. For mostly, it's made up of like Rangers and Green Berets, Special Forces, right? There's a few SEALs that have made it. There's some Marines that have made it. So it's a joint. It's like a joint agency, if you will, though, right? So I get into Delta, and to kind of put it in perspective, it's a really small unit. So I'm not going to go into the details in that, but what I will tell you is there's tryouts for it only 2 times a year. To put the numbers in perspective, because I'm going to translate all this for you in a business sense. When I went through selection, they got an average of about 350 applications military-wide of people that wanted to try out. Out of those 350 for my class, 120 of us were accepted to come try out. You go to tryouts, it's several weeks long, it sucks. I lost 17 pounds, not the biggest dude, so I don't have a whole lot of weight to lose. I lost 17 pounds there. Out of the 120 that showed up, 18 of us finished. Out of the 18 that finished, 16 were accepted to then go to the train-up. The train-up is several months long. Out of the 16 that were accepted for that, 9 of us finished. Out of those 9, we went into the unit. We call it the unit. We went into the unit. Unfortunately, a few of my class were killed. We're down to about 6, right, after the war kicked off. So to kind of put this in perspective for you about how intense it can get, there's one infamous class, only one person made it through that whole pipeline. From 350 applicants all the way down to when the whole course ended, there's one person made it, right? Okay, so it kind of sucked. It was not an easy place to get into. Now, when I was in the unit, I realized, hey, look, one day I'm going to get out. I'm going to have to learn some different things. So I got involved in this, in my little bit of off time that I had, in this multi-level marketing, like direct sales type thing, right? So I've done some of this stuff. I've also been in a call center before when I got out of the military. It was horrible. I was miserable, but I learned so much. I'll get into that in a little bit too. So here I am, I get involved in this thing to try and make some extra money, because in case you didn't hear, the rumors are true, the military doesn't pay a ton. So I get into this multi-level marketing thing, and it's this thing where you build a team of people, and then you help them build a team of people, and the problem with it was this. To me, it made sense. Well, I don't talk to my friends. This is a no-brainer. And all my friends laughed at me, like, you're an idiot. Not one of my friends signed up, because none of them had any respect for me in business. I'm an Army guy. What did I know about business and finances? And then number 2, because they're Army guys too, and they're knuckleheads. So of course they didn't know anything about business, right? So I'm like, well, crap, I'm going to have to go out and build my own team of people. So how do you do that? Well, you got to go out, and I don't want to use the term recruit, but you got to go out and recruit people. You got to meet people. Okay, let me put this in perspective. I'm one of the baddest motherfuckers on the planet at this point in time. I'm tough. I'm in great shape. I know how to fucking kill. I'm really good at it. I'm good with guns. I'm good with weapons. I've been to combat several times at this point in time. I was up in the Tora Bora Mountains. There's a book and a whole bunch of stuff written on that battle. Okay, all this stuff. But when I had to go out and recruit people for my team, I was like a 12-year-old. I don't know which gender is more insecure at 12 years old. Let's just say I was really insecure, right? I was so insecure. All I could think about was, hey, John, hey, I gotta go. Okay, like, it was just terrible. Hey, Jared, so do you keep your options open in business? Okay, cool. Yeah, so myself, some friends were doing some consulting, blah, 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 right? Like, get my script down. We'll talk about that stuff later, too. But I was so worried about what an absolute stranger would think of me. This was more stressful for me than being in a fucking firefight. Why? Who can tell me why this was so stressful for me? Okay, that's part of it. But dude, I'm just talking to a stranger. Why is that so stressful for me? Emotion? Say again? Rejection? Okay, who said that? Raise your hand. Oh, back there. Okay, rejection. Yeah, I'm going to hit on that too. Why do I care if people reject me? Deeper. You guys are hitting on it. Keep coming deeper. Why do I care? Because I'm what? Say again? Insecure like a mother. When I made the E8 Master Sergeant promotion list in the Army, I was the youngest guy in the entire Army. I'm as bad as they come, but I couldn't go out and meet a stranger to build a business team with them because I'm so insecure. How ashamed must I have been? I was more worried about a stranger that I probably was never even going to see again and what they thought of me than anything else I could focus on. So, that's me. Mr. Insecure when I'm over here in this place where I'm as bad as they come. Let me put that, let that put things in perspective for you just a little bit, right? Okay. The problem with insecurities is this. Every time, it doesn't matter if you think you have a different opinion. This is a factual, objective principle. Here's the problem with insecurities. If you don't own them, they will own you. They do own you. You are a victim to your own insecurities that you, more than anybody, are solely responsible for them. And what I realized was this. This is how eventually, years and years later, I turned into this business guy that I am now, because I realized that my family deserved a better man than what I was at that present time. They didn't give a fuck that I could kill bad guys, but they sure as heck cared that I was willing to overcome my insecurities to become a better man for them. Instead of be somebody, oh, do you know what I can do with a gun? Right? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Are you smelling what I'm stepping? This is a bad analogy. You guys are getting the point on this, right? Okay. So, I'm going to say it one more time. If you do not own your securities, they own you by default. All right. So, did I get all that part? Here's what we got out of this so far. I'm socially awkward. I grew up doing all the sports. I was an arrogant, insecure jock in high school, right? Okay. And at the end of the day, guess what? All arrogance is insecurity, okay? That was me. I go into the Rangers. I go into Delta. I've beaten all the odds. But I'm so insecure and socially awkward, I can't even hold a conversation in public. From there, I decided to get out, start this company. It's my current defense contracting firm. We do a lot of work with military special ops. Super busy now. But I started this company 13 and a half years ago. And this was during the administration that I was making a lot of cuts in the defense spending. I'm like, well, what's every smart business person do? They diversify, right? Well, I was an idiot. I didn't even know real business yet. I started a company, made a bunch of money with it because I had a good reputation in the military. As a hard worker, people knew I could produce, put teams of people together. We went and trained special ops. It took off. Then defense cuts started coming, and I'm like, whoa, we got to start this other company. If you haven't heard of this, go look it up on YouTube. There's still videos up there. It's called Apocalypse Vegas. So we come up with this great idea to go start this company, Apocalypse Vegas. Where? In Las Vegas, the most cutthroat city in the freaking in the nation. Depending on what you're doing. In our case, it was the most cutthroat city. So we got a bunch of military guys who really don't know anything about business. We're going to go to a city that's one of the most cutthroat cities in the nation. We're going to start a company that's never been started. There's no blueprint. Oh, and here's one. We found out after we finally got our doors open, people were betting, placing bets that we wouldn't get our doors open, that we would fail. That's how cutthroat that city was. So we start this business up. And at the same time, now we got two businesses. That one there had this investor jump on as a partner. He's a train wreck. We kicked him out. And now I'm sitting here with two businesses I'm trying to run. This one in Vegas is about $120,000 a month to pay the bills. We weren't making that much money, which means I'm robbing money from my other company. Defense cuts are coming in, so the money it's making screaming downhill. And here's where my personal and professional development starts really coming into play. At this point in time, technically I had millionaire status. I'd already been in Delta Force, I'd already been a Ranger, I was already the youngest dude at my rank in the military, right? Had all these things going for me. Here is the evener of the playing field. It isn't your gender. It isn't your race. It isn't your age. It isn't your body type. It isn't your fucking feelings. It's one thing and one thing only: performance. That's it. So all these things I had going for me in the past, nobody gave a fuck when it came time to me getting the job done. And now I'm sitting here completely overloaded. Let me put this in perspective for you. If somebody had told me, knowing what I know now, about how grueling that Vegas venture was going to be, no embellishment, I'm going to hit pause, come over here, put this in perspective. So when I was in the Ranger Battalion, we go to this school the Army has, this premier leadership school called Ranger School. It kind of sucked too. The attrition rate's right around 65%. I lost 30 pounds in that school because they starve you and still see if you could function, and they haze you and hurt your feelings and, a bunch of stuff like that. So 65% attrition rate. I lost 30 pounds. Delta Force selection was, I don't do the math, like a 90% attrition rate, 95 by the time we're done. I lost 17 pounds there. Listen to me carefully. If somebody had come to me today and said, we need you to go back to Las Vegas and go through everything again, knowing what I know now, here's how rough that was, I'd say not no, but hell no. And I would choose to go back through Ranger School and Delta Force selection, back to back. And I would do that 2 times over before I'd ever go back to Vegas and deal with the pain, the agony, the stress. Let me put that in perspective for you a little bit more. The worst point of that business endeavor, this one over here, this army, this military company I have, right, that's making money, the money's dwindled so much, and this new one in Vegas is sucking up so much. I went from millionaire at one point, I guess, right, like on paper, I guess I was, down to $1 million in debt. I was the only individual running both companies by myself. I was so broke that there were times I just wanted to escape reality at the end of the day. And at 8 o'clock when I'd leave the office to go home, I'd stop by a Redbox just to get a movie and escape for an hour and a half. My credit card was declined for a $1.89 movie more than once. There were times, as I'm sending money back home to the family so they could pay the bills, which didn't happen all the time, behind on mortgage payments, there were times when I went to Walmart just to get food for myself. I was so broke, not once but twice, my shopping cart of groceries, they rang everything up. Put yourself in this position. Think about this. They rang everything up, gave me the bill. I gave them one credit card, declined. I gave them the only other credit card I had, declined. That happened not once, but twice. Imagine yourself standing there. The Walmart clerk's looking at you. How awkward is that? And what do you say? Can I put the groceries back for you? She felt so sorry for me, she said, no, sir, we'll do it for you. You have any idea what a low point that is? And see, here's the problem. I didn't just have another paycheck I could wait for. Whoa, money's really tight. I'll wait for 2 weeks till the next paycheck. I was the paycheck. And I was also the payroll. I was in such a bad place then. The stress that business put me into, now today, I do 6 to 8 injections into my muscles every week of different hormones and chemicals and vitamins to keep my body functioning because my body doesn't produce them. Not from fucking combat, from business, from Vegas. I did them today before I left. You have any idea what that does in somebody's morale to realize you're going to have to do that for the rest of your life? What do? You keep going. Let me back up some more. Before we even got that company started, hopefully I'm getting you involved here, right? Emotionally, you feeling this a little bit? I want you on this next part to put yourself in position. Don't picture me. Picture yourself with this next part that I'm going to tell you about. Before we got it started, I'm broke again. Before we even got Vegas started, broke. By myself in Vegas, running around, trying to find a place we could build this new thing. My family still lives in another state. I'm still trying to find investors. I can't find anybody. I'm going to drive a point home with this next comment. Okay? I talked to a mentor of mine who's a multimillionaire. He knows business. He says to me, after I tell him where I'm at, the financials, I'm still looking for this and that. I already signed on a property because what's business? Location, location, location. Right? I got the business or the property. This thing's going to blow up. We rented this huge 70,000 square foot warehouse. Guess who's paying for this? I didn't have a partner yet. When I tell the mentor at this time, his name's Keith, and I tell Keith about what's going on, he goes, Trav, I don't have an answer for you on this one. I don't know what to tell you. Do you have any idea how much despair sinks into your fucking soul when the one mentor that you relied on to give you guidance at this point shrugs his shoulders and says, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what you're going to do. That day in January of 2015, in the little apartment I was living in by myself, going back and forth from there to my family, I laid down in the fetal position and saturated myself in my own tears, wondering what in the hell had I gotten myself and my family into. Money's gone. This is one of many times. I don't have investors. I have a 70,000 square foot facility I'm paying rent on. I don't know how I'm going to make the next rent. I'm laying there for 2 hours trying to remember if my insurance, my life insurance policy has a suicide clause in it. That's how desperate my thought process had gotten. Let me put this in perspective. I don't have drama in my past. I've got a great family I was raised by. My parents are still together. I'm super tight with them. I grew up in a small town in northern Idaho, just some nerd playing, sports and decent grades. I don't have trauma from my past. With respect to what I know the numbers are, I wasn't abused. I didn't drink. I didn't do drugs at this point in time. I was balanced. I had been through a lot of psych evals in the military. I'm as balanced and pretty freaking intelligent and emotionally stable as they came. And I'm laying here in such desperation and wondering, is there a suicide clause inside my life insurance policy? Because I'm thinking that might be the only way out to get my family out of this. Here's the part I want you to take away, not what I just told you. I told you that to put this part in perspective. After 2 hours of crying and nobody gave a shit, I got up and realized I better go out and hit the streets and see if I can find an investor again. Literally cold knocking on doors, trying to convince people that might have money about my business idea. Why did I do that? Okay, you ready? That whole story for this part right here. Because I knew nobody was coming to fucking save me. It's up to you. Your fucking future is your responsibility. And your excuses, don't think anybody else believes them, and I hope you don't. If the business here isn't for you, that's okay. But I want you all to look around at each other real quick right now. Look around. Look around at each other, left and right. Look, right? Like you know where this is going. Because most of you aren't going to be here. That's not what I want to speak, and that's not what I want. But I know people. And here's what's going to happen. Oh, it's just not working for me. I'm going to cover some of that stuff here in a little bit. Oh, it's just too hard. Oh, my knee. Everybody else will know the truth. The best thing you can do to save face if you decide it's not for you is just say that. That's a little hint, okay? We'll come back on that here shortly. So, we see where I'm at. Las Vegas sucks. What I do want to do is wrap this up for you guys a little bit, though, on that part. Years go by. We never really got it to profitability, but we built that company from number 3 out of 368 on TripAdvisor in all of Las Vegas. The little guys in the corner of the strip with a new concept that had never been done anywhere on the planet, competing with all the big boys that were dropping $150,000 a month or more, I don't know, in marketing. We had like $15,000. Because of our standards and our willingness to assess the dynamics and ourselves and figure out what we sucked at, we were able to grow ourselves and grow the business in a complete struggle against the varsity players to number 3 out of 368. Until, like Adam alluded to, unfortunately, the governor shut the state down in 2020, and we lost everything. I lost millions on that one. But my resolve was tested. Listen carefully. My resolve was tested at a level Delta Force never tested it at, the Rangers never tested it at, combat never tested it at, business did. Knocking on doors. By the way, we finally found an investor eventually, right? Knocking on doors, getting out of my comfort zone and talking to strangers and realizing nobody was coming to save me. That is life, and that is applicable right here. So, we move out of state, move back to my home state. Interesting enough, as soon as we shut that down, the military-based company explodes. And I'm going to tell you, because I didn't quit, because I realized if this is what I want, that's what I got to do, and nobody's coming to save me, and I kept going. I couldn't see the end, but I could see one more step in front of me. And there's only one person who was responsible for making the decision on if I was going to make another step. Who was that? Damn. You guys are paying attention, at least about 4 of you. Okay, so that's the deal, right? Now I'm going to tell you, I went from $1 million in debt. My net worth is it's in a low, I hesitate to say this because fucking Jesse's coming tomorrow night, but my net worth's up in like a low 8-figure level, right? My wife and I, we have multiple properties. We've got multiple companies. Life is definitely much better now. Didn't happen in 7 weeks. Didn't happen in 7 months. It was 7 years of hell, and it was worth it. And here's why it was worth it. Because of the opportunity that I have had since then to hire more people and create a culture from what I had learned and been through. To select, not recruit. To select, not recruit. To scout the talent, understand the difference. To scout the talent to build my company with, my main company, right? And it's been very rewarding. Let's go a little bit further. So, I'm not feeling so good. One thing that's really driving me up a wall is, man, I'll work out a lot. I don't now. I'm trying to get back into that. Just bear with me here. Don't fucking judge me, all right? So, I work out a lot. I eat right. I'm busy as hell, and I'm stressed out. Side note, stress is subjective and relative. Write that down. Stress is subjective and relative. What does that mean? I will give you 2 examples. What stresses me out now may not stress you guys out now. What stressed me out when I was trying to remember if I had a suicide clause in my life insurance policy, now I'm embarrassed to think that. Wow, what a schmuck. What a pussy. Stress is relative and subjective. Keep things in perspective, okay? So, August rolls around of 2022. I'm not feeling so good. It's been years that I have been dragging ass no matter what I eat, no matter how much I work out, no matter how much sleep I get. I'm feeling this weird pain. Apparently, it is in my spleen. It turns out it comes from my spleen. Move in, get some tests done. Hey, you got stage 4 cancer, Trav. Not stage 2, not stage 3. How many of you have heard of stage 5? Right, because what comes after stage 4? Yeah, you die, okay? So, you have stage 4 cancer. The PET scan shows it is everywhere. You have lymphoma. Every lymph node in your body has cancer in it. Your spleen has cancer in it. Every lymph node in your body is inflamed. We have a lot of work to do. There's 2 different routes that I could take at this point. One, oh my gosh, have I not done enough? Or 2, nobody's coming to fucking save me. What do we got to do, doc? So I start treatment. It kind of sucked. It's chemotherapy and immunotherapy. Let me put that in perspective. The chemotherapy part took 10 minutes. The immunotherapy took 6 to 7 hours and put me in the hospital multiple times because it's that brutal. I'm still plugging away with business because why? Well, that too, gosh dang it, but I'm also passionate about it, right? No one's coming to save me, but I'm passionate about it. There's something in it. When you believe in what you do, that you're really making a difference to people and helping them, it's a lot easier to get out of bed in the morning. Who was it over here that talked about short-term energy? Right? When you find something you're passionate about, you will go until you collapse. And I got news for you. You can go a lot longer than you think you can. Find the purpose in what you're doing, and it will make all the difference in the world. Not just in how you feel about yourself and the quality of your life, but that's when real sales happen. Because people can tell when you're a fucking schmuck knocking on the door. Or people can tell when you really believe in it. And you have their best interest and your best interest. I can't tell you how much money is in my main company's bank account right now. I can't even tell you what we have going on right now, I'll be honest with you. I hired an operations director on top of the rest of the staff. I'm like, go run this shit. And the only thing I check on is, how are our people? How are our clients? Are we helping them? And I'm doing okay right now until Jesse shows up tomorrow. Thank you for the 3 of you laughing. The rest of you lighten up, or we're going to be doing like burpees all night long, right? Okay. So, I focus super intensely on this really, really wicked diet. Let me just put it in perspective. This juicing diet I went on would make a vegan cry. And homie likes his hamburgers. Okay? You feel me? Raise your hand if you know what I'm saying. Okay? A couple of you like, ugh, meat. Ugh. I like to eat. This juicing diet would make a vegan cry. I was drinking 15 to 20 pounds of juiced produce per day. Per day. 15 to 20 pounds. Yeah, and I couldn't eat any dairy products, no meat, no animal products, quite frankly, no nuts, no oils. If it didn't grow in the garden, I wasn't consuming it. Lost a bunch of weight again. I'm not feeling so good. I'm still serving my purpose and passion, being responsible because nobody's what? Nobody's coming to save me, right? Okay? 4 months goes by. Remember, it's everywhere. The doc's like, it's everywhere. And I quote, it's everywhere. We got some work to do. Doc says, hey, let's do a progress PET scan and see how your body's doing with this. I had a projected 2.5-year treatment. This is just this last fall. December, doc's like, let's do a progress PET scan. Let's see how your body's doing with this. Okay, cool. Do a PET scan. They said, come in tomorrow. We're going to go ahead and give you the review of your PET scan. I go in the next day. The oncologist himself walks in. Not the nurse. The oncologist. Uh-oh. Look, I'm not a super spring chicken, right? I'm not super young anymore. Cancer's a little harder on those that have aged a little bit and beaten the shit out of their bodies like my career field has. Doc says, Trav, I don't know what to tell you, but there's no detectable trace of cancer anywhere in your body. And I look at him and ask him, I said, how is that possible? And he just shrugs. He's like, I'll pull it up and show you. And he pulled up the 2 PET scans side by side. What they projected would take anywhere from 6 to 2.5 years, 6 months to 2.5 years, 4 months is gone, unheard of. Unfortunately, I had to stay in treatment. Here's the problem, though. Unfortunately, the one form of lymphoma that I have is treatable, not curable. So now we just wait for it to come back again. But here's what I want you to take away from that. Because this is where the personal responsibility and the personal growth that you guys are going to get into, I hope, is you're going out there and getting uncomfortable and getting doors slammed in your face. By the way, quick side note, this is free. How many of you have heard, hey, you get enough no's, you're going to get a yes, right? It's a game of numbers, right? Raise your hand if you've heard that. It's okay, because every no is closer to yes, right? Okay, how many of you have heard this one? The only stupid question is the question not asked. Raise your hand if you've heard that one. That's not fucking true, okay? There's some stupid questions. And I got news for you. You can keep getting those, and if you're an idiot, And I'm not talking about academically. I'm talking about if you lack maturity. I'm talking about if you lack self-reflection. I'm talking about if you lack responsibility and accountability. You're going to keep getting no's. You're not going to get yeses, except for your sporadic ones from people who just feel sorry for you. It's a numbers game to an extent, but it's a numbers game for the ones that have the self-reflection. So here's some self-reflection to put in your pocket. When the doc told me that I was in remission somehow all of a sudden, I sat there for about 2 minutes fighting tears trying to understand it. And then all of a sudden, I thought to myself, uh-oh, hit pause on that. Because I want to share another story with you real quickly of an individual who's now my director of operations, one of my closest friends. His name's Will. Will was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer a little over 10 years ago when he was still a Green Beret in the Army, active duty. Stage 4 cancer. Oh shit. People don't normally come back from stage 4. Will went through a 6-week treatment. Every day he got radiation and every Monday chemotherapy. He went from about 225 pounds down to 154 pounds, feeding himself with a stomach tube. Well, I sat next to him eating Chick-fil-A every day thinking, that must suck, right? So in his 6th week, his last week, when he was like no hair, skinny, I knew his family was going to need some reprieve, so I said, hey man, tell the family to go home. I'll come down and hang out with you the last week. Check this part of the story out very carefully. Go ahead and compare your character to this, either where your character's at or where you want your character to be. I took Will in every day, and let me tell you how frail he looked to me. So the military put him up in an apartment by the hospital, and I would stay with him in that apartment. When I would get up in the morning, I'd lay there and wait to listen to see if I could hear him, because I was scared that my friend was fucking dead. I was afraid he didn't make it through the night. That's how bad he looked. And I'd hear him get up. I would breathe, and I'd get up and go out and hang out with him. And I took him to treatment every day. Here's the part of character. I watched that man every day. When we'd go into the clinic, he would walk around and greet all the other patients. How you doing today? You hanging in there? You look better today than you did the last time, which is bullshit because you look worse every day you go to treatment, right? But he was out there still giving his soul. And I sat there looking at him, almost ashamed that he was even my friend because I wasn't worthy of that type of character. By day 3, we went back to the apartment after his treatment. This is that day when I'm watching him, right? And I'm like, eating my Chick-fil-A. It's God's chicken, by the way, right? Everybody know that? Okay, thank you. All right. It's you 12. You 12 are just great supporters tonight. I look at Will, though, and I could just tell he's okay with everything. Listen carefully. I look at him, I said, bro, you're good. Like, you know you're okay. You know you're going to make it through this. At what point in time did you realize you're going to be good? And he looks at me and he frowns his face, almost as like in disappointment, like your big brother would do to you. That thing where you go, oh. And he goes, bro, I never doubted it. I just knew God needed me to go through some things to become a better person so that he could then count on me to help other people down the road when they're struggling through the same thing. I got a little news flash for you. You don't have to get cancer to be that type of person. You can go get the shit kicked out of you knocking on doors, chasing a dream and some goals, because your focus is wanting to become a better person and help other people out, regardless of what they get or don't get when they open the door. And then you can be up here in the panel sowing into others that are nervous, that lack the confidence, that lack the competence. You don't have to get cancer to make that type of difference. You don't have to get cancer to have that type of resounding character. All right, let me get back on track a little bit. So Will says, I knew God just wants me to learn some things to help other people. So the day I got diagnosed, he's the first phone call, and I was like, hey, fucker, I didn't know you meant me. Anyway, so Will helped me out. I'm back in that was funny, by the way. Okay, golly, man. All right, so I learned a lot of great stuff from Will. Here's where I'm going with some of this stuff, though. You're going to start to notice, if you haven't already, a little bit of a theme. What are you learning from the process? What questions are you asking, and not, how do I do this? Why do I do this? What information are you seeking as a protege to the principles of life, or a protege to a mentor that's qualified to teach? Because I'm going to tell you, there's a reason my son makes more money than anybody that works for me, and I pay my people decently. Because he has asked me more questions than anybody in my life. And he's been a good steward of not only the stuff that I've done well, but moreover, the stuff I've screwed up. I'm going to start to wrap up here and dwindle this down and get into some principles. These are like bullet comments, things that I wrote down that I've learned from my experiences that you guys can take away with you. Starts wrapping all this stuff up here. I only got like an hour and 15 minutes. You guys got to hang in there. Those are nervous laughs, weren't they? Is he fucking serious? Like, he's already over on time. Okay. Remember, I can't get fired. So we're in this shit together. All right. Good. Thank you. All right. Okay. Will's story, cancer journey, went over all that stuff, right? So I told you Will's thoughts. Here I am. Just a few months ago, I got cleared from cancer. You remember when I told you for 2 minutes, I'm like, Doc, and then all of a sudden my mind shifted? My mind shifted to this. Shit, what if I didn't learn what God needs me to learn? What if 4 months wasn't enough pain? What if 4 months wasn't a long enough process to educate me and what I need to learn and take away to become a better person to help the other people that are going to be put in front of me? Think about the weight of that responsibility. Because here's what I came up with on that. How quickly you pick up on the things you need to pick up on, how quickly you learn on things, is up to you. I don't want to start getting into biblical stories, but there's one about this group of people called the Israelites. They wandered around the desert for like 40 years. And we'll say every decade, they'd come in full circle, and God would be like, hey, dipshits, that was sacrilegious, wasn't it? Probably not a good way to say it. Hey, knuckleheads, take another lap. And these dudes just weren't getting it, so for 40 freaking years, they chased their tails. Right now, my biggest struggle in life is trying to figure out my condensed lesson plan that God put me through for 4 months. And here's the one word that we preach in my company that will kill you every time you allow it to present itself into your life. You ready for it? Here's the word. Complacency. When you become complacent with what you know needs to be done, with choosing the hard right over the easy wrong, you start to slip. When you start to slip, the slope is always slippery. You pick up momentum, you will fail. You will become one of the mediocre many in our society that my friends died for. Here's the good news. That's up to you. What's the bad news? All right, you guys are paying attention, huh? Okay. Here's your bullet comments as I wind down. I talked about getting out of your comfort zone. Be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Understand that every time you are in your comfort zone, it's a threat. Every time you choose to sleep in, it's a threat. Every time you choose to play your video games or whatever your generation does that's not productive, look, you got to give your brain a break every now and then. I get it. Follow your coach's guidance. They can give you an idea. But every time you choose the easy wrong over the hard right, your competition is smoking your ass. I'm going to put it to you like this. This is an extreme one, but you'll get the principle. While America is going through all this inclusive feeling, we need to consider other people's thoughts and how they feel, and we're teaching all this shit going on in the military right now about feelings and all these different pronouns. Our enemies are training to kill us. That's how competition works as well. While you take your time off, your competition is not. It's just a matter of if you want your dream, because nobody's going to give it to you. It's totally up to you. So become comfortable with being uncomfortable. Get used to that. Seek it. Asking questions. I had an individual I knew. He was actually the CEO of Snapchat. No, Snapchat's the new one, right? It was one of the old ones. I can't even remember now. Say again? Snapchat's old? Oh, TikTok's new. Yeah, okay. I'm totally dating myself. Sorry. Okay, he was the CEO of Snapchat. He graduated from Harvard. Check this out. He graduated number 2. He was the CEO of Snapchat. Guess who his direct line executive was underneath him? That's right. When I asked him, I said, wait a second, why is number 1 working for number 2? He said, he's smarter than me, but I've got better emotional intelligence. I don't allow my thoughts or I don't allow my emotions to control my thoughts. Notice I didn't say don't have emotions. But it's like excuses. You have to own them, or they will own you as well. And right now, our society is really good at being owned by their emotions. So your ability to self and situationally assess and analyze without emotional influence will determine your future. That's heavy, so I'm going to say it again. Your ability to self and situationally assess without the influence of your emotions will determine your future. Here's what that means. How many of you in here think you have good self and situational awareness? Raise your hand. It's okay. Raise your hand if you think you do. Would you guys agree that if we walked out there and took a survey, most people would think they do? Most people in our society think they have good situational self-awareness, right? What do we think? You ever heard of the socially awkward people with personalities like mine, that are bulls in the china cabinet, right? This is all a lack of self and situational awareness. Here's another little hint of what I would give you. Raise your hand if you've ever heard, oh yeah, those two don't get along because there's personality differences. Raise your hand if you've heard that one. Raise your hand if you think that's a real thing, personality differences. Okay? It's okay that you think that. I will put that in perspective for you. It's not a real thing. It's an excuse for a lack of emotional intelligence and intellectual disposition. Just because we have two different personality styles that naturally clash doesn't mean we can't understand one another. It's a choice, just like it is a choice to assess yourself without the influence of your emotions. Because see, when all this stuff comes together, when we want to have conversations, whether you're talking to somebody that's giving you shit at a door, or you're talking to one of your peers, you're talking to your significant other, your parents, your kids, whatever the case may be, look, here's the reality. When we're talking it out, here's where people fail. We can talk about facts, or we can talk about feelings, but we need to determine which it's going to be and separate the two. Your ability to be able to do that will separate you from the majority of society, straight up. All right, last thing is, no, that is the last thing. So, the last thing is, you guys have 38 minutes, no, I'm just kidding. 2 minutes, if you guys have any questions, or if you want to do a Q&A session about anything. Just remember, there is a such thing as stupid questions. But your confidence can still deliver that if you have it. Okay? Any questions?
What got you out of bed when you were $1 million in debt?
What got me out of bed?
When you were $1 million in debt.
Right. Okay. That's a great question. It's super simple too. But people kid themselves. Just because you don't acknowledge a problem doesn't mean that it doesn't exist and that it's going to go away on its own. And nobody fucking cares. That's right. Nobody cares. But nobody was coming to what? Save you. Right? So it was me separating feelings from the facts and going, the facts are this. Nobody's coming to save me. It isn't going to disappear if I don't deal with it. And if it's going to be, it's up to me. And that was the case there. That answer your question? Okay, any others?
When you are feeling overwhelmed or maybe even a little paralyzed by your emotions, what's your strategy to overcome that?
That's a great freaking question, man. What is my strategy? So, how do you eat an elephant? Right? And people are like, oh, that's so cute. It's such a neat cliche. It's true. Recognize what's overwhelming you. Set it down. Got to take a walk. If you need to get some air, so be it. But people get overwhelmed when they take in too much into their consideration. Break it up. What do I need to do now? Remember when I said I couldn't see the finish line, but I knew I could do this? That was a choice. So was that. Spread it out. Look at what needs to be done right now. And another thing too, you guys aren't going to fuck it up so badly it's really going to matter. So don't make it a big deal, and it won't be. When I say it, that's life. I mean life. You aren't going to do anything so bad. Well, I mean, you could. But hopefully you guys aren't that stupid, right? Murder is illegal, by the way. Okay. What else? Other questions?
When you were in the throes of it, did you ever struggle with suicidal behavior?
Bro.
No?
Absolutely.
How did you not?
My son knows this story. So does my daughter. Okay, here's the truth. I'm glad you asked this, because coming from special ops community, we just lost some more in the past couple months. Suicide rates are high in the military, and especially in the special ops community, because they have seen so much combat. They have fucked up their wiring so badly. It's brutal, okay? I'm going to tell you, okay, so I'll answer your question first. I had plagued myself because what fires together wires together. What that means is the thoughts that you continually run through your brain, you program yourself with. The things you are exposed to, both internally and externally, overtly, consciously, and subliminally, programs you. That shit is real. I'm skeptical, and I'm telling you it's real. I've been educated on this stuff. I've read on this. I've spent a lot of money with coaches and psychologists. It's real, okay? So I was in such a bad place that it started off from, man, if I just get run over by a bus, my family could take the insurance money and this would all go away and they wouldn't be stressed out. That transgressed within 30 days to any time something would raise my blood pressure. 5 counts, anything. Anything would challenge me. I had worked myself into depression, a state of severe depression and anxiety. Me, Mr. Objective, Mr. Rationale, Mr. I don't have trauma in my past. Because of the stress that, what did I say about stress? It's subjective and relative. I didn't control my thoughts. What happens when you don't control your thoughts? They control you. My thoughts started controlling me, and I started doing bad wiring, and I had gotten to the point, no exaggeration, 100 times a day, if once. If even once, it was 100 times a day. If I heard a noise that made me feel uncomfortable, the thought of something stressing me out, of a bill, of an employee, anything, I immediately thought about shooting myself, straight up. Now, I'm not the dude that, I tasted the cold steel in my mouth, I never got a gun. Like, I couldn't do it because that dude right there, my daughter, right? Like, I just couldn't do it. I wasn't going to do it. But I was close, and how much longer do you have to keep thinking those types of thoughts before the next thing you know, thoughts turn into actions, right? So, yeah, it was on its way. I thought about it all the time. Sorry. So, here's what I'm going to tell you. Beware, and this is one of the most important things I want you to take away from tonight. If you're going to push yourself in life and you don't take the proper precautions, you will meet your fucking human side. Do you know what that means? Do you know what that means? When I say that, do you know what that means? When I say you will meet your human side, you will meet your mortal side. You will meet the wall. You will meet the side of you that says, holy shit, I'm not sure I want to be here anymore. That's what that means. Push yourself hard enough, long enough, without the proper precautions. I am telling you, it will happen. It has happened to most executives we know. It's happened to most of the guys I was in the military with. I've lost more from suicide than I can count. I haven't lost them, but you know what I mean, right? So here's the answer to that prevention. And you can include this in any sort of strategy. It's not just in suicide. When you know the answers to the test questions before the test is presented, you will pass the test. See, to me, I never thought I could find myself in this position, so I didn't have the precautions in place. Here's a question for you. I'm going to get in your kitchen. How many of you think you could kill yourself? Raise your hand. Not many of you. Okay, everybody that didn't raise your hand, I'm worried about you, and here's why. My friends in Delta Force, in the Rangers, there's fucking badasses they come that are tough, that pass a lot of psyche evals, that have committed suicide. One of my friends on my team in Delta Force, he went from the Rangers to Special Forces to Delta Force, passed all these psyche evals, killed his wife, and then himself 2 minutes later. What do you think he would have said if I would have asked him just 6 months before that, hey bro, you think you could kill your wife? What do you think he would have said? You effing high? What kind of stupid question is that? If you think you can't, you're at risk. If you think you couldn't kill somebody else, wow, this is really deep, Trav. Fuck yeah, it is. I'm here to get into your soul. I'm not here to talk about strategy and door to door. I'm here to get into your soul, and I told you, for most of you, this is heavier than you can handle right now. Take notes, don't forget. Because if you push yourself in life, you're going to call upon some of the shit that I'm talking about tonight, and this is one of them. So what is the principle here? Just like anything, the principle of, well, how do I handle an argument with my significant other, my boss? How do I handle potentially considering suicide? If you know the answers to the test question before they're presented to you, odds are pretty good you're going to pass the test. What's that mean? Well, shit, if I ever get to that point, what am I going to do? Come up with a game plan before. So that if you get to that point, all you got to do is push the enter button. Okay, I know what I'm supposed to do here. Does that answer your question? That was a long answer, but it's a very important one that's very near and dear to me. What else? Okay, we got to wrap up, guys. I will be off on the side for a little bit more. If you guys have any other questions, I'm pretty spent, but I'm here for you. So with that being said, stew on this stuff tonight. Go home and look at yourself in the mirror. I hope I made you uncomfortable. All right?